Video games have become something of an art form. In the late 20th century, it was seen as a dumb pastime for kids who didn't like reading, but now it's a whole aspect of society. The evolution that video games have taken is truly unique, and what it has become is quite interesting. As much as a titan of entertainment it is now, in the early 70s, video games were dying, slowly and painfully. People were finding arcade games repetitive and mundane, and Atari, which was the first home console company to exist, was putting out a bad game a week. E.g. the video game. Sorry, something stuck in my throat. It seemed that games were a fad, and were gonna go anytime soon. However, the gods gave gaming one more chance. A digital messiah incarnate, the NES, and Super Mario Bros. Super Mario Bros., a 2D side-scrolling platformer that was the package game for the Nintendo Entertainment System, also known as the NES. This game was so critically acclaimed that it single-handedly saved the industry. Throughout the years, Nintendo has upkept the industry, revolutionizing it. Games like The Legend of Zelda introduced save functions, and Pokemon is the highest-grossing media franchise on Earth. Nintendo's upkeep of the industry has paved the way for other gaming titans, such as PlayStation, Xbox, and Sega. And they've built themselves some titan brands too. Xbox with Halo, PS with Ratchet and Clank, and Sega with Sonic the Hedgehog. Gaming has built itself a community of artists, fan developers, and even competition. And competition is the most interesting. Oh, and before we dive headfirst into that, let's show you the opinions of some gamers who have been around longer than us. You know they've been here for a while, because they remember when the Wii was relevant.
The first ever game I played was Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, which was on Nintendo 64, like about 20 odd years ago, so quite a long time. And I think I got given the console and the game as a gift, so I just kind of tried it out, and it was quite enjoyable. But then when I had like friends around in primary school, they wanted to play this as well, and then something we'd all do together, and yeah, it was kind of a social thing almost. It's definitely what made me keep playing and get interested in it properly.
And so how old were you when you got that game as a gift?
That's probably about 5 or 6.
How do you think gaming connects you to a community?
So I think it's sort of previously, like when I was younger, I didn't feel like I was part of the Rugrats community, didn't have sort of social media to connect with people on it. But I think now it's much more of a thing. I'm in like Animal Crossing Facebook groups where people are like, they're posting memes and they're posting about new updates that they've noticed, and people are offering to like come to your island and give you some fruit that you don't have, stuff like that. It's something that you can really collaborate with other people on. Then I think even like things like sort of Mario Kart and Just Dance that I play on the Wii, and we have a Wii, and we don't like play online on those or anything, but there's still sort of that cult fan following that you can get engaged with online anyway. So I think sort of it helps you find people with similar interests, and you can just talk to strangers about your favorite Mario Kart person, and that's totally fine.
What do you think is the future for gaming?
Ooh, fun one. So I had a friend once who used to say that VR, like virtual reality, stuff like that, was going to be the future, but I disagree. I think we're going to go back to this kind of simplistic style of games, because you see a lot now of games that are coming out that look a lot like real life, and it's really weird. But there's something beautiful about like the simplicity of older games. So, you see with like the emergence of the Switch, and I play a lot of Animal Crossing on the Switch as well. It's a very simple game that's not too intensive. It's not too complicated, and people really enjoy it. And I think that's really important, because you don't need a game that looks exactly like the real world to have fun in it. And I think we might be cycling back to a kind of environment where we enjoy the simple things, like the simple games, and we don't need everything to look perfect or to be in like 4K, or we just need to enjoy ourselves.
That's a really interesting point of view.
How does a community create itself? It starts with an interest. Over time, people gain this interest and said people meet each other. They start talking about the interest and introduce other people to it. This process repeats over time till lots of people are interested. Video games have achieved the epitome of its growth and isn't slowing down. Video games are great because they can attract anyone, because they encompass a multitude of interests. First and most obvious is players, and people come together with tips, opinions, and recommendations. Everyone in the fan base has probably played a game at some point, and as such is a player. Next is artists. Art is a crucial part of games, and as such it leads to art created by fans, also known as fan art. Fan art has its ups and downs because some people's art can get a bit hyper-realistic. There is also fan developers, people who create fan games for series that they enjoy. Then there are competitive players. Boy, are they complicated.
Over the last few years, esports has gained in popularity and fame, with it becoming increasingly hard to meet someone who can say that they've never played a video game. The thing that makes esports so great is that anyone can play it, no matter whether you have a disability or just not one for exercising. This means that games have a huge variety of players, and game developers earn millions from making them. Esports tournaments, however, are really popular, and most gamers dream to win. These are so successful because of the audience. The prizes can be such a high magnitude because the developers have so much money from people playing it. In 2019, a boy of age 18 won $3 million in an esports tournament, which is more money than most people can hope to make across their entire working career. Sorry, Postman Bob. You tried, but you peaked. Of course, like real sports, to play successfully, you have to put in a lot of time. For example, professionals put in 16 hours a day so that they can stay at the top of the ranks.